everybody, and welcome back to the Sideline Eye podcast. You're very welcome to our preview show, and we're looking ahead to Armagh's semi-final clash with Down on Sunday afternoon. I'm delighted to be joined by Kevin McKernan, and he's going to give us the Down angle ahead of the big game on Sunday. Kevin, a big game definitely is a semi-final, 70 minutes away from an Ulster final for both teams. It's a huge occasion for Armagh, who have been fighting for so long to try to get back to an Ulster final, and Down, who are just currently rebuilding under Conor Laverty. So both teams will be vying for that Ulster final spot.
Yeah, probably looking at it from a Down perspective, thinking it's bonus territory, and that's not me probably trying to spin a yarn with you because of Armagh and Down, but just what the lads did on Sunday for the county was just huge confidence builder for players, coaches around that have put in hours of work with these lads from development squads right through more recently the minors and under 20s, where you see relative, no medals to show for it until that under 20 team has broken through there 2 years ago, and you can see the fruits of that now with the team yesterday backbone by a lot of 21, 22 year olds, and we're very lucky that things are looking very positive for the county, and we're looking towards a semi-final against Armagh. Growing up, I know myself playing with Down, some of the toughest days were getting beat by Armagh, but some of the most special days was championship days against Armagh, and more recently, the two contests that happened in Park Esler in Kieran McGeeney's tenure, and obviously a lot of the Down players and Armagh players were involved in both those matches, so there'll be a bit of a turnover in both panels from those Park Esler games, but both teams were pretty familiar with each other, but two teams on probably two different trajectories over the past 3 or 4 years, and I think that Armagh team probably should be at a place now where they're looking at an Ulster final position. That's their huge target, and for Down it's probably bonus territory, but a game that the confidence from Sunday I think will definitely give Down some sort of edge to think this is possible, and I think that's what the Ulster Championship provides each year.
I think it's fair to say that it's probably Armagh need this win more, that getting over Donegal, reaching a semi-final, having a decent league campaign, and then maybe getting a run and winning the Talton Cup would be a good year for Down. But for Armagh, this is a necessity now. They have to get to an Ulster final because it's been so long. There's pressure building every year. There was pressure before the Cavan game, and the Armagh display sort of was brilliant in the first half to get through that game. The Armagh need this more than Down. Would that be fair to say?
It's I think the writing's on the wall for that Armagh team, to be honest. They've developed so well under Kieran, and Kieran Donaghy and Kieran McKeever obviously building what's probably one of the best management teams, I believe, in Ireland. Unfortunately for Kieran, and I'm very lucky to work with him with the international rules back in 2011. He was a really good thinker of the game then, and what he done for Kildare even back in 2010 when Down. So if we were playing back then for that run to the All Ireland final. Kieran he's put every ounce into that Armagh project, and probably to have not reached an Ulster final, it's probably something that Armagh people probably thought should have happened by now. And I think when you look at the team that's there for Armagh at the minute, they're probably at the age profile where everything's fitting for them. A very experienced team, a team that have a lot of learning and a lot of hurt. And I think probably from what you said, I don't know how you felt, the second half the other night, I do think it should have been a whole lot more comfortable for Armagh. And, even as a player myself, to get over the line, desperation really creeps in, and a wee bit of doubt maybe of can we get to the level that they got to in the first half, Armagh, to really go and finish that game. And you were always expecting Cavan to have that kick in them, which they did show. But I do think there'll be a lot of nerves in Armagh on Sunday, purely just to get the job done. But equally so, there should be a lot of confidence in the Armagh panel because of the season that they've had in the past few seasons, what they've done. And I think trying to bring that across to the Ulster semi-final on Sunday will be huge for them.
And just on the international rules, Kevin, and with Geezer, I think was that a changing room with Kieran Donaghy and Kieran McKeever possibly as
Yeah,
well? Did you have all
yeah,
three of them in that changing
yeah, the
room?
whole lot, and the three men, I've come across them in locally here. I went for a coffee there probably last year. Yeah, it was shortly after. Yeah, I think it was Armagh had played quarterfinal last year, I think, and I bumped into Geezer in Costa, and Justin McNulty was with him. I don't even think they were with each other; we were just in the queue. And funny, McGeaney in the last Armagh game I played, he threw the shoulder into me
That's right.
as a player, and Justin McNulty was laughing, going, "The last time you boys were so close, Kieran lost his head," just laughing. And we laughed and joked about it and talked football. And that's what I loved about that international rules was, to call Kieran Donaghy or Kieran McKeever your teammate. Like, it was just special for me as a Down man to represent Down and to get in the share change room with them men, and to see the level of professionalism, that Ireland setup brought, which was even higher again than a county setup. And it's probably got, every county setup has got to that stage nearly now. And like with the three Kierans there, um, you probably, like, particularly with Kieran Donaghy as well, like, having won so much with Kerry, bringing that winning mentality and structure that maybe Kerry football, the traits of kicking and heads up football, and you can see that in Armagh. I do believe, and Kieran McKeever was very vocal around how defensive, trying to sort of come away from the fact that people think teams are so defensive. Every team is defensive in terms of they make the pitch small, they make the pitch tight. Everyone's playing 13 to 14 men back, and more than likely, 5 times a half, most teams are bringing 15 right back, and they're defending together and they're attacking together. And people talk about Dublin and Kerry's. You go to any game in this group stage that comes up that's really tight, and you go to the quarterfinal, semi-final, you'll have Kerry giving up kickouts the odd time. You'll have Kerry and Paul Geaney and Clifford right back in midfield to make the pitch small and then to stretch the pitch on transition. So, I love watching football at the minute. People look at it and think it's a very, and there is an aspect of it that's negative, and possession's key. But there's great moments at the minute in football. The kit passing is coming back, I believe, and I think it's something that's definitely helped Armagh's game. Is that kicking? Like, usually Rory Grugan on the ball, and that ball's kicked in early to Ryan O'Neill and Turbot. Like, that's what them men want. And Mourne, even the other day, was outstanding. So it's the type of football I think that Armagh, they had so much success with, and I think that's what you're seeing in this current team too.
Will we see that with Down, Kevin? Or are they very much paced through the hands and breaking forward like that, or do they mix it up?
Oh, similar. Like, again, probably the other day there was 2 or 3 really good opportunities to kick the ball in, and they were fractionally off on Sunday from retaining possession in a really dangerous area and around the D and on the penalty spot. And I think that the Down game the other day was probably a nervy game for the players. That Donegal team were there for the taking on Sunday. Everybody knew that, but nobody expected Down to turn them over purely because of this, Division 1, Division 3, and Armagh came from the same type of building from 3, and you get into 2, and like my belief is like any team from 24 to team 8, on any day, you bring your performance down to 70% and one team races to 80 or 90, you can be caught. And I think the opportunity to kick pass a ball within your game plan, it has huge potential, but I think it has restrictions in your team performance. And I think if you can take risks, and you don't want to deviate from dropping down to a 70% performance for your team, but equally so, even you look at Armagh's game last year against Galway. That game went into mayhem purely because the ball was kicked. Like, and if it's kicked into a dangerous area, and you have players there that can do that, you're going to get over the line if the ball breaks for you.
And Kevin, I spoke to you about the Armagh management and what they're like in the changing room. I'm gonna have to ask you about Conor Laverty. I know you haven't been in the changing room in a managerial sense with Conor
Yeah.
Laverty, but being a teammate, Was he, what's he like, and what was he always destined to be a manager? And I suppose we are surprised that he took this on so young.
No, listen, probably in terms of a player in the change room, he was as vocal as anyone, you know, in every aspect of how he manages. He gets his message across. It could be a mixture between a sort of Rory Gallagher type, wee bit of mayhem at times, and then a cool, calm sort of geezer approach. I was very close to Connor the other day, and you could see it, his want for the team to be very brave, to go forward with the ball, and I can only imagine the change room that he creates as a manager, which is a place where he wants boys to give their best for that jersey. And what we started to see on Sunday for Down was that belief and want to keep that jersey a very positive sort of place for a player and Down to wear. And that's what we want in Down. And Connor's thankfully and he's been given all the tools to do that. And I think that was the unfortunate thing last year under James, and Connor worked with James. And I heard him yesterday doing an interview with BBC. Like he put James McKernan's name in there because he knew that James did that job last year for Down when no other man wanted to, and he's very lucky now to be in a position where he's got the kickback from a disappointing year. Things could only get better. And what he's done for that team, you can clearly see they're playing for him, and I can only imagine. I would say it could be a rowdy enough place to be at times if he's expecting what he wants from his team, and you can see that it's working at the minute.
And Kevin, Armagh said obviously they come through the Cavan game. Really, it was the first half performance that got them through, and their second half wasn't as good as I'm sure Kieran McGeeney and a lot of players would have wanted it to be. But were you impressed with Armagh in the first half, or what stood out for you, or how impressed were you?
Yeah, I just thought the crispness in their play for conditions that was really poor. Very brave to take shots. And I think that was a big thing. I remember Kieran Donaghy. He spoke recently. He spoke recently to the Abbey McCrory Cup team I was involved in helping coach, and Kieran spoke about if you are an out and out scorer and forward for your team, you must be hitting 30 to 40 kicks a week on your own, away from the training ground, and keep a tally of your scores. And you can see those Armagh boys are pulling the trigger when they know they're in a place that they're confident to shoot, and they know that the team have worked the ball to the right place for the right man. And the Armagh psyche at the minute just seems to be, how quickly can we transition that ball to a dangerous area, and they're getting the right men on it, and it's a team that's very well organised, and a team that's playing well together and understanding each other's strengths. And you see Connor Turbot at the minute, like every ounce of David Clifford and Kieran Donaghy type carry forward. He's pulling the trigger, he's getting into places, and he's making things happen. And I'm sure that excites Armagh people, particularly when you see what Rain did last year, and Andrew Mourne, and that all of a sudden now they've another weapon, and to be successful you need to have three or four really creative and scoring players, and I think that's what Armagh possess at the minute.
On that Armagh attack, obviously you mentioned Turbo, O'Neill, Mourne and O'Neill coming back into Turbo. Obviously he's a standout player at the minute in great form. The down defence, Kevin, who do you see matching up with them boys, or how do you see the down defence lining up?
Like even the other day, looking at Donegal and Down, you were trying to do matchups, and there was changes before the game here and there. The other day with Down, some really strong defensive performances. Pierce Lavery was really good. A good tussle with Jamie Brennan at a time. So I would say Pierce could probably go to Turbot. Ryan McAvoy was playing midfield the other day for Down. I don't know if Down have the height and strength in midfield without Ryan? Would he go to Ryan O'Neill? So, there's so many matchups there that you're looking at. Anthony Doherty played fullback the other day, and he was gay actually. That I was looking at the league thinking, could he be getting more football? And he obviously wasn't, what Connor was looking for in certain games, and he's like McGeeney too. They'll have to pick their team to suit Armagh's needs and Armagh to suit Down's needs. I look at the Down forward line and I'm thinking to myself, who are Armagh going to match up against with Liam Kerr, with Pat Havern? Who do they feel can do that job and not take away from their own games? So, even I think Anthony Doherty will go to Mourne probably, and Pierce Laverty to Turbot, and some of those matchups are pretty straightforward. You look at the down forward line, like Liam Kerr probably, McCabe probably go to him and track him. There is that sort of straightforward, pace matches pace. But then, I love looking at teams thinking, like the matchup last year, Derry and Galway. It was a real strange one. McCaig went to Finnerty.
Yeah.
Went to Finnerty, and I was going down to that game going myself, can't wait to see McCaig on Walsh or Comer. And Roy Gallagher thinking outside the box there, going, he respected Finnerty more than a lot of people thought. He could see the potential in Finnerty. And like myself now, I'm coaching as well, as much as I can get experience of coaching, and I love looking at matchups and seeing what player suits what, and that's the way I would look. And I know myself, even in the past, who I was matched up against, and there's a lot of thinking as a manager that needs to go into that, to think, how am I utilising this man that I'm not losing what I need from him as well. So I can't wait to Sunday. I really, really can't wait to see just the Down in Armagh buzz, the colour there. I was in school today, teaching St. Ronan's primary school in Uri, and 2 or 3 of the girls are Armagh, the teachers and the secretary, and the crack's going already. It wasn't even 9 o'clock on Monday morning, and I'm not talking to you this week, and well, what do you think? And I said, listen, Armagh, the All Ireland won last year, and now you're sort of talking, you're so worried about Down, and it's only Monday. It's the crack's good, and that's what Down and Armagh need. For too long, Down and Armagh are looking at Tyrone and Donegal, and thankfully at times both teams were able to put a run together. Armagh, have always been in and around Ulster, for 15, 20 years there until recently, and it's a shock to the system probably for Armagh people not to be in an Ulster final, and they'll be licking their lips playing Down, and Down likewise looking now going, imagine taking Armagh out now to get to an Ulster final, and that's the card that's there.
I think just thinking back to old Down and Armagh games, Kevin, that you had been involved in, there is an element of you never know what's going to happen, because I remember in 2011 in the Athletic Grounds, you were just coming off the All-Ireland final defeat, and Armagh turned you over. 2017, Armagh were heavy favourites that day, and you turned them over. There is an element of you don't know what's going to happen.
And that's I don't know how you, even at club football as well, there's so many, things that, the local rivalry brings, and, when you see Armagh Down and you see the teams on paper, I remember that year that we turned them over under Eamon Burns, and that year we were in a tough place again, and things weren't good, and you were sort of getting through the league. I think we stayed up by the skin of our teeth, last minute point down in Cork to draw a game, and when Armagh were coming in Uri, it just gave you a serious focus to go. Imagine doing a job here for your county, for your supporters, and to go and do it was class. It was just, that's what the days in Uri, which were Sunday, was to turn Donegal over in Uri for those boys on Sundays. It's very special, and Armagh will be thinking likewise. For that, to try to take away the Down and Armagh thing, it's very hard to do. The likes of Nugent and Nan McParlin went to uni together in St Mary's. Again, Ryan O'Neill going to St Coleman's, would have played and went to school with boys that he'll play against on Sunday, and to move away from this is Down in Armagh, we've got a game it's everywhere. Like you can see flags around Newry here. The Armand Down flags are there, and there's no getting away from that. And the talk will be, I've just said there about school this morning, building sites, every place of work will be talking about, have you tickets for Clones? The game was only over yesterday, and people are already phoning looking buses to get to Clones. So like the colour and the day out that down in Armagh in Clones will be, it's special for supporters and for the players to play in. It'll be a game that they'll remember.
And Kevin, you'd mentioned about Ryan McAvoy playing in midfield. Obviously we would know him more as a fullback for Kilcoo, but he was sort of forced to play midfield because of Owen Murdoch's involvement with under
Yeah.
20s. And as we're speaking here, we don't know the result on Wednesday night, so we maybe don't know if that's been worthwhile or not. But I suppose how big of a loss is Owen Murdoch? Because as I was saying, the offer, I was there the night Down played Antrim in Newry, and he was head and shoulders the best player Down had that night. I think he kicked 3 points from midfield. How big of a loss is he?
Like Oren, he's a clubmate of my own, and I've seen Oren from he was 8, 9 years of age, like particularly when he became a very dominant teenager, 14, 15 years of age. You could see he was destined to play for Down, but his development in the past year or two, the confidence that he got under Connor, like he was only playing, he was just turned 18 when he won his first under 20. So he's had 3 years. He was 17, obviously, sorry. He was 17 turning 18. Like this is his third year of under 20s, and in all 3 years he's been a huge player. There's, I don't know, this rule that's come in, I think it's a good rule to protect a group of players, but I just think there's a case for every individual player to be a decision to be made on an individual. Like this lad he's well built, he's physically ready for senior football, and the rawness of actually sitting and reflecting on what Oren could miss out on. He's just missed out on Donegal at home in Newry. He could miss out on an Ulster semi-final against Armagh. Hopefully the result on Wednesday night will be, a positive step for Down in terms of winning an Ulster title, which is obviously the decision Connor's gone with, prioritising making sure the under-20s develop and the winning mentality that he's trying to ingrain in that Down senior team will only come off the confidence of the 20s. And I'm just gutted for Owen. I'm gutted for him. Would I love to see Owen Murdoch stride through Clones on Sunday? A down team with him in it. They're going to move so much more positively and powerfully, and he's a huge miss. He's absolutely massive. But at the end of the day, he's still a 17-year-old, and he's been a 19, 20-year-old, and from the age of 17, thankfully, he's developed well and he's being protected now, but I think he's missing out on a lot too.
Yeah, it is. It's probably not fair on the lad, and as you say, he's physically ready to play senior football, and he has been there the whole league campaign.
He played, like last year, Oren played 7 National League games in midfield as an 18-year-old. Like it's Ryan O'Neill-esque, it's Michael Murphy-esque of being thrown in so young. Like when you're young and you're good and you're powerful enough, let the lad at it. But I would be more concerned if he was, a lighter player and physically wasn't fit for the games, and managers, which I think probably was the reason. Like in the past, I remember myself playing. In one weekend, we played for Down under 21s in a final in Casement Park on the Saturday and drove to Leitrim on the Sunday. Like the consecutive days, like that rule, once that's taken in, like the consecutive days was crazy. Like that was happening years ago, and the science behind it now, people are now saying this is physically damaging, lads. But now if Oren, in a small way, his minutes can be tracked and what he's been doing is tracked, and he's able to play. And like if you've put 7 league games as an 18-year-old last year, you're able to fit in 3 or 4 games in 10, 15 days, and he'll get his rest like I know, like our club would. I think last year at the time he missed a game or two just to protect him and let him rest and let his body and his mind be mentally ready for it. So listen, it's a huge game on Sunday, and unfortunately, it looks like he's not going to be involved.
And do you think, does that give Armagh the edge in the middle of the field, Kevin? Because Armagh have McParlin, Creeley, possibly Rian O'Neill, Jarly O, Keaton Mackin. Like, they have a lot of big men in that middle area. So probably the last thing Down need is to be missing their star midfielder.
Yeah, listen, I'm glad you're talking Armagh up. Well, that's fine. Listen, you look at that Armagh team, and there's pace and power and strength all over. But again, probably they do have a 2 or 3 6'2" players. I don't think they're massively going to make Down look a very dwarfed small team. I do think Down have a lot of power and pace to match that. But definitely around the middle, if Ryan McAvoy's going to have to be utilised in full back, if Armagh threw Rain in there along with Mourne and Turbot, that's two big men in there along with Turbot, and he's no slouch either for height. So I think it'll be somewhere that McGinty will target, and Connor he'll have to sort of shuffle his deck to suit, and you might see Pat Haven obviously played a lot of his football on Sunday and around the middle, and he's there for a reason, to have one more big body around there for kickouts, and if he can transition in into full forward and be a utility man of miracle needs, and it's a tough gig in Clonus to get from half back midfield into full forward and be active to be ready. So yes, and that's the way Down played on Sunday. They contained Donegal really well and transitioned well, and they used their big men as best they could. But Sunday, obviously, as you said there now, it's going to provide Down with serious thought, ahead of Sunday.
Yeah, and it's hopefully going to be a good game, and it's going to be a great occasion. I think both counties are really looking forward to it. Before I let you go, I'll just ask you for a prediction. How
I want yours first.
Well, I'm obviously going to say the obvious answer is Armagh victory. I think, as was talked about at the top of the show, I think Armagh need this more than Down. I think Down, they're a common team. They're going to get there eventually, but this is 15 years in the making. Armagh have been waiting for this, so I'm hoping Armagh get over the line. It's going to be a nerve-wracking one, and I'm just hoping that they're comfortable and it's not a one-point game.
You're giddy already. Yeah.
I'm hoping it's not a 1-point game with 10 minutes left and a nervy finish.
That was my words to people today in school, and even talking to family as well. If Down can keep the game tight to half time, creep it to 15 minutes to go, and there's a kick of the ball in this game. I've been involved in too many games in the past. Like Ulster semi-finals, we got to 2 finals, 2012 and 17, and the excitement of a semi-final and being close to winning, but also then on the other end of it, being close to being in a good place and messing it up. There's a fine line, and the psychology around Sunday, and how Down approach trying to spook Armagh, and that's what we have to do, because really, any game plan that Down have, they've coped really well in Division 3 with a lot of tricky teams. They played Offaly, Westmeath, Cavan and Fermanagh, and they were very competitive in all games, missing out in relegation. Armagh have obviously been relegated, but I just look at so much football in Armagh that possibly Down don't have the what would I say, the experience and know-how at that level, because really Armagh have been in that Division 1 for 3 or 4 years, and I know myself from the years that we were in Division 1, we went back-to-back promotions, we bit like Armagh's trajectory now. We went Division 3, Division 2, 2010, and got to the final from Division 2. And when you stay in Division 1, you're a better equipped team to deal with better players and better systems. And I think if Down can approach Sunday, and I know Connor won't, he won't be telling the boys, listen, we're in bonus territory here. Semi-final time, it's a nervy place to be. It's a great place to be. It's exciting for the fans, but for the players, they'll want to be so desperate to get over the line, and it's going to provide a lot of moments and of nerves and excitement, but a bounce to the ball either way, and you wouldn't know Down could surprise them. But being brutally honest, I think it's going to be an Armagh win, but let's see. Let's see.
Hopefully it's as good a game as we've built it up to be, Kevin. It's certainly one to look forward to anyway, a big occasion in Clonus for both teams, as we say, 70 minutes from an Ulster final. It's one to look forward to. So we'll obviously be covering it with previews, match reports, podcasts, and everything else in the build up to the game and after it. And we'll be back on Sunday evening, hopefully, with another podcast show. We'll get a few interviews after the game. Kevin, brilliant to hear from you.
Well,
really
do me a favour, if you have the tickets for the Ulster final sorted and Armagh lose, will you let me know?
I'll let you know. I'll throw them to you. Don't worry about it.
Good man, good man.
Good man, Kevin. Thanks for coming on.
Good work, mate. Take care.